What's on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. A pretty big update in the Karmelo Anthony case as the grand jury is deciding between giving him the correct sentence and the one that we all know they're probably going, the correct charge, and the one we all know they probably will charge. He's also demanding more money because, of course, that is happening, and a new investigation into Frisco ISD school and their partnership or their little deal with the NGAN, which is that Timu Al Sharpton company that is looking pretty suspicious around his graduation stuff. If you enjoy the coverage, as always, make sure you leave a like on the video. If you haven't yet, subscribe or follow down below. Let's get into all the news. Had one of our biggest streams ever yesterday. If you're a YouTube-only viewer, make sure you subscribe to Quartercast. Today we've got Hannah Claire Brimlow and Luke Rodowski live. We'll be talking about Karmelo. We'll be talking about the Diddy stuff. We'll be talking about everything else. 2 Eastern. The channel's called Quartercast. It'll be linked in the description. Give it a subscribe. Turn notifications on. Trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. Let's start with staggering sum of money family of Karmelo Anthony has received from strangers, and they still want more. I mean, who could blame them? You know, literally, who could blame them? If people are going to keep giving you money, then you might as well. It's like when Shiloh Hendricks was like, I mean, they're not the same, but like as the money kept pouring in, I can't really blame people for increasing the goal. The suspicious thing about the Karmelo fundraiser, though, is that even though they've raised the goal not once, not twice, but 3 times, I believe, they've provided absolutely zero updates since then. They provided people zero update onto what the money's going for or why they needed the extra $150,000 or $100,000. More than $500,000 has been donated online to help confessed monster Karmelo Anthony, who is, of course, charged with, taking the life of Austin Metcalf. Through the online platform Give, Send, Go, supporters of the suspect have now raised $533,452 as of late yesterday. However, Anthony's embattled family is still demanding more money, raising the goal threshold quietly several times to its current amount of $600,000. Donations, most ranging between $20 and $100, have poured in from across the country as the case has garnered national attention, becoming a flashpoint about race and privilege. At an April 2nd track meet, we all know what happened. We know they're just going to go through that to get more words in their article. The 18-year-old, of course, confessed, telling officers, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Sounds like he was proud of it to me. Sounds to me like he wanted credit for it. And only after kind of the reality of there's going to be charges brought with this, suddenly he's like, "Oh, actually, it was self-defense." Of course, the finances of the Anthony family have been under public scrutiny since the teen's dad claimed to be struggling financially at his April 15th bond hearing, where they asked a black female judge to reduce the $1 million bond to $250,000. Now you say, Jeremy, why does that matter? Why does the black female judge matter? Well, because people believe that this was a source of leniency. People are also pointing at, allegedly, the black female principal at ISD school, the one that is allowing him to graduate. At every turn, as I've said in many other videos, the system, or those who are in positions of authority in the system, have chosen to give Karmelo Anthony the easiest path imaginable. At the time, Anthony's parents claimed they had not received any of the money, even though they got it the very next day. I am sure a strategic move by that Timu Al Sharpton guy, who told them not to take the money out so that they could pretend that they were poor and then cash out $600,000. At the time, Anthony's parents claimed to have not received any of the money that had been raised online, and the funds had been earmarked for their son's legal defense, not to pay the bond. However, as DailyMail.com exclusively reported, the mom, dad, mom, Anthony, and several younger siblings were living beyond the luxury of a gated community in a $900,000 home in Frisco while crying poor in court. The fundraiser now says the money will be used for several purposes. While legal defense is a critical part of the journey, we want to make it clear that the fund is not solely for legal expenses. Anthony's mom, Kayla Hayes, who administers the account, had posted. The funds raised will also support a range of urgent and necessary needs, like the new Call of Duty game that he gets to play while out on extended home arrest, while Austin Metcalf will never play that game. They need to be, relocation, safe relocation, basic living costs, transportation, probably a new Escalade, and other security measures, which they don't actually need. It's a farce. I feel, this kid is probably getting taken advantage of by his parents and every race hustler imaginable. In a controversial decision, we already talked about, the school district is allowing the suspect to get his high school diploma. The teen has been checking in with court officials via telephone. He doesn't even have to go to court. As part of his house arrest conditions, public records do show he has left the gated community, is now staying at a, quote, undisclosed location. Meanwhile, the GoFundMe account for Metcalf has raised even more than money than Anthony's. $558,000 has been donated by 12,000 people. Now, the interesting thing about Karmelo Anthony's official fund, okay, which is administered now by Kayla Hayes, they have not, the last update they gave was 45 days ago. The last update that they gave, now they have logged in to take out their money. They've logged in to raise their financial goal, but they have not provided a single update since April 15th. And at that time was when they had to pretend like they cared. And by the way, that is the only update they ever gave. A single, sentence update. Although I'm not sure why I can't see this. Do I have to click follow? Why can't I expand this? Because it says this fund is not just for, but I wonder why the whole thing's, oh, here we go. They updated this and then they did this update. Here's a read more. Purpose of the fund. Now, this again was the last update was 45 days ago. We asked for, critical defense, critical part of the journey. We want to make clear this fund is not solely dedicated to legal funds. Well, yeah, they gotta go out to dinner. DoorDash isn't cheap, and neither is, leasing new Escalades or living in, paying the rent in a $900,000 house, plus the rent in another probably McMansion somewhere. They need to get new jewelry and buy strawberries and bracelets and things like that. That's all very expensive. And when you look, people are still giving money. 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago, 17 hours ago, when they quietly have now raised the goal to $600,000. Now, generally, when you raise a goal, I think the generally accepted behavior is that you tell people why now you suddenly need another $100,000. Everybody knows that the Karmelo Anthony. So as of whatever has been reported, now I just want to be clear, if you're with me in this video at this point, take note. Everything that I have seen reported online has Karmelo Anthony's lawyers working for free. Everything I've seen reported is that Karmelo Anthony's lawyers are working pro bono. Why do they need $600,000 for legal fees if they're not paying any legal fees? Isn't that a quinky dink? Don't you think people would question that? The fact that you're going to be, he better not be appointed a public defender, fools and their money. I mean, yeah, this is just like, self-hating white liberal women that are donating this money, I would strongly suspect. And now there seems to be a conspiracy between the Dallas ISD, which is the school district, and Next Generation Action News being reported by Sarah Fields. We requested a copy of the contract between Dallas ISD and Next Generation Action Network. And GAN is the fraudulent organization run by Dominique Alexander, who is the advocate for Karmelo Anthony's family. Dallas ISD is now refusing to release the contract, and they are appealing to the Attorney General. The Texas taxpayer has the right to see what their money is being spent on. What is Dallas ISD hiding from you? This is a matter of public interest. So here's this. Pursuant to Government Code 552.301, the district submitted an opinion request to the Texas Attorney General concerning specified information requested by you in your public information request. The district is providing you with a copy of the district's submission. Please log in here to retrieve a copy. Per section 552.306, the government code, an attorney general shall render a decision no later than the 45th business day after the date the attorney general received the request for the decision. That means they are now kneeling on the ball. They are now trying to obfuscate the truth, in my opinion, to hide evidence for another. You know what's going to be? They're going to respond on the 60th day. They're going to respond on the last possible day. Exactly what kind of entity is Next Generation Action Network? Oh, by the way, I said, somebody said the Quartering has offered in his last video to pay the $1,800 to get all the emails you want. I'm happy to do that if she needs to get any requests. Obviously, I'm earning ad revenue covering this, so I'm happy to help the people on the ground who are doing the actual work. The whole thing is bonkers. Of course, don't forget that Karmelo Anthony's spokesman, Dominique Alexander, is a convicted felon who, put his hands on his wife, sent her to the emergency room, sent the baby there, all this kind of stuff. The whole scenario is bonkers. I think that they're going to try. This is why I don't want to let this story die. Please keep leaving likes on the videos. Please keep sharing them. The government wants this story to go away because I believe that it is a cut and dry first degree case. There will be no actual self-defense. This will be a moment of low impulse control and perhaps a premeditation. Perhaps maybe I have no evidence of this, but maybe there's, musings of this kid, hoping, praying, wanting to be put in this situation. Why did he bring the knife in the first place? The whole thing is very, very suspicious. And I'm going to keep doing what I do to keep bringing light to this. You keep doing what you do, liking the videos, sharing the videos. And don't forget to tune in today at 2 Eastern. If you're a YouTube-only viewer over on Quartercast, we're at 73.3 thousand subscribers. Hopefully we'll get to 100,000 by the end of June. Really hoping you'll tune in. We're live every day. We have clips. We do shorts there. Everything. So check that out, and we'll talk to you again real soon.